to Nick Noorani. Nick Noorani is a graduate of our YMCA self-employment program. He's the founder, CEO, and publisher of the Canadian Immigrant Magazine, and he currently sits on the YMCA Board of Directors.
So this is where it all began, 9 years ago, November 1998. My first job in Canada, selling newspapers on subscription on the phone. Hard job, probably $8 an hour, but I put food on the table. I do telemarketing in the evenings, and in the mornings I'd go out and hunt for a job. I didn't stop till I got one. My story began not much different from Zara's story, a story of all immigrants coming in here, starting from scratch and trying to make that difference. When Sabrina and I started the magazine, there was no magazine for immigrants. Every year, 250,000 immigrants come here, and there was no magazine for immigrants. And so, of course, I had to ask why, and so the why led to the magazine. So in April 2004, we launched the first edition of the Canadian Immigrant Magazine. Vancouver only, 7,000 copies. Today, 3 years later, we have two editions, Vancouver and Toronto, 80,000 copies. So we're making a difference in so many immigrant lives. We're giving them hope, we're giving them the education, we're giving them the motivation. But the magazine is not all that we do. We're taking this further by going out and talking to people and making a difference in the lives of immigrants and the lives of Canada. When I walk into groups of immigrants, and I do that very often, I say, I can tell you in 5 minutes how many of you are going to be hugely successful and how many of you are going to do okay. You know, I've always been curious what makes one immigrant succeed, another immigrant either return and go back home or give up. And I found that one of the things that makes an immigrant succeed is moving out of their own comfort zone, not living in a silo. We are a society where we have people living in ethnic silos. Does anyone know the meaning of the word silos?
Like isolated people?
That's right. Who said that? Mary, perfect. We live in silos. One of the most important things that is for me, my mission in my life, my personal mission is how can we as a nation become colorblind? How many of the people who are your friends are from outside your community? Do you have one friend? Do you have two friends? Do you have 5 friends? Their friend circle, the people they deal with are Canadians, you know, whether it's Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, South Asians. I find a lot of immigrants who've succeeded, their address book contains friends and names and phone numbers of people outside of their community, because that's how you learn. That's how you can truly assimilate and become part of what is Canada. So one of the things I talk about is Plan B. Does anyone know what the meaning of Plan B is? Yeah. But you know what you need to do in order to have a Plan B? Guess what, Peter? You need to have Plan A. Plan B is important only if you have a Plan A, and Plan A comes when you start listing out what are the things that are important to you. What are the directions, what are the goals that you want to go into? Having a Plan B is very important. And the reason having a Plan B is important is because Plan A has a habit of never always working. When we came to Canada, like all immigrants, our biggest passion was how do we settle down, how do we make a difference? So after 5 years in Canada, Sabrina and I decided let's go out and buy a house. So we went out, we looked at houses, and we found our dream home. We went and bought our dream home. And I remember the date. It was Canada Day that we got possession of the dream home. 1 month after both of us moved into our dream home, we were both laid off. Welcome to Canada. Now the real work begins, because Now you got to show what metal you're made of. I came to Canada after 23 years of advertising experience. And I said, okay, I'm going to go there, I'm going to get into advertising. Thank God I had a plan B. The plan B was anything else that would put food on the table, right? Because it was so hard. I found it was very difficult. Until someone said, focus on your skills and see what are the skills that you can transfer into. Which are the other industries you can transfer those same skills into? Plan B is also a psychological thing. I'm sure all of you know that engineers and doctors, when they come to Canada, have a hard time. And while they're waiting to get their credentials evaluated in Canada, it's hard for them to do a job. Plan B allows you, it gives you sanction. It says, yes, you can look at something that is a different profession. In my case, I moved from advertising into publishing. So I was never a publisher. I started working in publishing and I did well, and that's how I started the magazine.
Today was very, very encouraging as a new immigrant.
He motivated me a lot. So I am still feeling very proud of myself to continue providing a lot of volunteer work.
I will keep practice my communication skills.
I was very lucky to be here and to meet and to hear Nick, especially to hear him, because he is such an inspired person.
I came from a very multiracial country. I really agree with him that we have to come out of our own comfort zone and mix around with people from different ethnic backgrounds.
And that's, to me, the greatest honor, to come to a country and to be able to make that difference, not only in the current generation, but for generations to come. My role today is to reignite that flame inside you. Because all of us, when we go through, and I've been in your situation, and I'll tell you the story. When you go through that situation, sometimes you get a little tired and brings you down when you hear so many no's. And sometimes that the yes that is inside you gets buried. So what we need to do today is we need to get those no's out of the way, and we need to get the yes. There you go. Yes. We need to get that yes, we need to get that flame burning.